Good morning. This is X-Pulse AI Morning Mix. It's Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. Today, Alphabet lines up to $80 billion for AI compute, with Berkshire putting in 10, Anthropic quietly files for an IPO, and Microsoft turns Windows into a local AI dev workbench. I've got Orion with me. Ready?
Ready. Let's do it.
Bloomberg reported on June 1st that Alphabet is launching an equity program to raise up to $80 billion for AI compute, and Berkshire Hathaway agreed to buy $10 billion in a private placement. Orion, what's actually happening here?
This is Alphabet, basically pre-funding the next phase of infrastructure, data centers, GPUs, networking, because demand for cloud and model training and inference is still rising fast. The Berkshire $10 billion commitment is a confidence signal and likely helps pricing, but the big headline is sheer scale, up to $80 billion.
For shareholders, is this mostly dilution or strategic insurance?
Both. New shares can dilute, yes, but strategically, it's insurance against capacity crunch. If you can't supply compute, you can't capture revenue, and you risk losing developers and enterprises to competitors. Alphabet's saying, we'd rather pay dilution than miss the wave.
And Berkshire stepping in, what does that change?
It makes the raise feel less like desperation and more like expansion. Berkshire doesn't buy every shiny thing, so it may calm markets. Also, it telegraphs that AI infrastructure is being treated like a long-duration investment, more power plant than app. $80 billion. My spreadsheet just asked for a nap.
Reuters reported on June 1st that Anthropic confidentially filed paperwork with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission for an initial public offering without disclosing share count or pricing. Orion, how big is this for the AI race?
It's huge symbolically. Anthropic is moving toward public markets before OpenAI, at least procedurally. A confidential filing lets them work through regulator feedback privately, time the market, and fine-tune the story. It's also a sign they believe their revenue trajectory and governance posture can stand up to public scrutiny.
Does this put pressure on OpenAI to accelerate?
Pressure, yes, but not necessarily speed. OpenAI's structure and partnerships make an IPO path more complex. Anthropic is signaling we can be a conventional public company. That can matter for enterprise buyers who like predictable reporting and clearer risk profiles.
What should listeners watch for as this progresses?
3 things: the risk disclosures around model safety and liability, how dependent they are on major partners for compute and distribution, and any hints of margins, because inference costs can be brutal. The SEC process often forces clarity on those realities.
PCMag reported on June 1st, ahead of Build 2026, that Microsoft is positioning Windows 11 as a local AI development workbench. Windows AI Workbench, deeper, GitHub Copilot integration, Copilot Studio, and on-device models with NPU access. Orion, what's the practical shift?
Microsoft is trying to make your Windows machine feel like a first-class AI workstation. Develop, run small models locally, tap the NPU for acceleration, and then blend with cloud inference when you need scale. The point is faster iteration, lower latency, and potentially lower cost for certain workloads.
So is this about privacy, cost, or speed?
All 3, depending on the app. Local models can keep sensitive text on device, reduce token spend, and make experiences snappier. But it's also strategic platform play. If Copilot and the dev toolchain are baked into Windows, developers build for Windows by default.
They referenced on-device models, possibly a 5.4 family. Does model size matter here?
Yes, the sweet spot is small to mid models that handle code assistance, summarization, and lightweight agents without needing a data center round trip. Microsoft wants a hybrid by design workflow, local for everyday tasks, cloud for heavy lifting. Your laptop just got a promotion.
Digitimes reported on June 2nd that enterprise AI spending is cooling because token and compute costs are outpacing measurable returns. Some executives even say compute expenses can surpass labor costs. Orion, what's driving the pause?
A lot of pilots made it to production and hit the real bill phase. High-volume inference, long context, multiple tool calls, and reliability overhead. If you can't tie that spend to revenue, retention, or hard productivity gains, finance steps in and asks for fewer experiments and more proof.
What changes now? Do projects get killed or reshaped?
More reshaped than killed. You'll see smaller models, tighter prompts, caching, routing to cheaper tiers, and more on-device or private deployments. Also, fewer AI everywhere mandates, and more targeted use cases with baseline metrics. The winners won't be the flashiest demos, they'll be the cheapest reliable workflows.
Does this hurt the big model providers?
It pushes them to compete on efficiency, not just intelligence. If enterprises get cost-sensitive, pricing, batching, and model optimization become product features. It also favors vendors who can offer hybrid stacks, local plus cloud, so customers can choose the lowest cost path per task.
A few fast movers. The Atlantic Council wrote on June 1st that U.S. federal agencies reported 3,611 AI use cases with 445 labeled high impact across 41 agencies. Orion, what does that number tell you?
Government isn't just regulating, it's becoming a massive AI customer. When you have thousands of use cases, procurement rules, evaluation standards, and high-impact oversight shape the market. Vendors that can handle audits, security, and documentation will have an edge because that's what federal buyers require.
Meanwhile, Digitimes on June 2nd had Intel unveiling Xeon 6 Plus and its Crescent Island accelerator for agentic inference, and CIO on June 1st had NVIDIA pushing agent-native infrastructure and tooling. Are we watching a platform war?
Yes, over the control plane for always-on agents. NVIDIA is selling a full stack, runtime, security controls, and orchestration ideas, not just GPUs. Intel is arguing CPUs plus accelerators can orchestrate agent workloads efficiently. Enterprises will pick based on manageability and total cost, not benchmark bragging rights.
On funding and the developer battleground, AI Insider, citing Axios on June 1st, says Groq is seeking $150 million to expand Inference Cloud. And CNBC on June 1st says pre-ChatGPT startups are getting squeezed, while Microsoft and Google prep coding models to challenge Anthropic and OpenAI. Groq, what is it briefly?
Groq builds specialized inference hardware and runs an inference-focused cloud aimed at fast, predictable model serving. The raise suggests demand for cheaper, higher-throughput inference is real, even as older startups face down rounds. And on coding, everyone wants developers because code assistants create daily usage and sticky platforms.
Finally, on rules. Tech Times reported on May 31st that OpenAI published an EU AI Act compliance framework, and FedScoop on June 1st says NIST renamed its AI Safety Consortium to the NIST Artificial Intelligence Consortium with a broader scope. How should we read that?
Compliance is becoming productized. OpenAI is signaling, here's how we'll operationalize requirements, which customers will use as a checklist. NIST broadening the consortium hints at a shift from safety-only framing to wider standard setting. Translation: governance is getting more formal and more competitive.
That's XPulse AI Morning Mix from XPulse for Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. If this helped, share it with a colleague who lives in their inbox. See you next time.